just gonna chat with you here a little bit. I started streaming just recently due to medical disability and stuff like that. Unable to work anymore. As far as we know, it's 3 to 5 years, but possibly a lifetime. Kind of sucks, but so let's get into the story. So, obviously, Black Friday of 2019, I got sick. Well, not really sick. I noticed a lump in one of my legs. I thought it was just crawling, excuse me, underneath the house that I was working at, because I was a propane service technician, and what I did basically is installed new piping for new homes for Vista gas, natural gas, what you guys would call, or propane. Most of the time it would be just propane for us, that we were filling our tanks and stuff up for them. So I straddled this triple wide mobile home. They had concrete floors and everything. It was pretty nice. It was all brand new underneath there and stuff. So it was like scraping. They didn't really smooth it up, the concrete out. So I thought, that lump was from that. And then, a couple days later, the lump grew and kept growing and growing. When it finally got to full size, it was about the size of a Snickers bar that you could actually grab and pull from my leg. It's crazy. Yeah, it was definitely crazy. I brushed it off thinking I was just sick, and it'd go away. Well, sure enough, it went down a little bit, not too much. And then finally Christmas hits. I delayed. Don't delay if you notice this. I delayed then, and everything was getting so bad that I was unable to eat Christmas because my throat hurt so bad. Well, come to find out, I have pictures, but I'm not going to show those because they're pretty, nasty looking. But basically, I had tonsils were so swollen that little thing that hangs down, both my tonsils were all the way together where there was nothing letting by. And they were black and blue. They had little black and blue spots on there all over. And it was kind of strange. In the ER, they opened my mouth and the first words was, "What the bleep is that?" So they just ran some tests, blood tests and stuff. Numbers were just kind of out of whack a little bit, and then they called my specialist, ear, nose, throat doctor, and he was out of the country and wouldn't be back until January 2nd, and told me to be in the office that day. Yeah, when they kind of said that, that's when I knew something was bad. And so I had to dread the wait. So I went and seen him, and he put the scope down my nose into the back of my throat to see the pictures and take pictures of it and whatnot. And he called them purple meanies. And he said he's never seen anything like it before, ever. So he wanted to schedule a biopsy with the ultrasound, like a needle pinpoint ultrasound. That wasn't available to where we live because we live in a rural area. so that he wanted to do an emergency uh, biopsy on one of my tonsils, which he did that Thursday. So I had to go in and do that. Couldn't talk till the following Thursday for a week, which is weird because when I started talking again, everything was like really weird. But I got a call 13 days later after he did that and confirmed it was cancer. And he said it was a type of lymphoma. That's all we got until 2 weeks later when we seen a cancer doctor. But when we went in to see the cancer doctor, I was told 30% chance of living, which really sucked because that meant I was only just turned 40. What am I gonna do? You know, am I gonna protect the family, support them, and all that stuff when they're almost guaranteed me that I was gonna die? So then he automatically pushed me to the specialist over in Portland. So I had to go over there, which I got better news than expected. He explained my cancer all in detail, and he said 70 to 80% chance of living. And there's this new experimental drug, quote, quote, experimental drug, that just came out. The FDA just approved on January 2nd. So they're going to try this, and I had to wait for insurance. Yeah, insurance. I had to wait almost 2 months. And in the meantime, while this is going on, I'm still working, still doing what I can at work, but everybody's seeing me decrease. I went from my service technician job to just a driver pulling hose. Couldn't do that. I had to go in the office on the last part, helping customers. Then the last 2 weeks, I couldn't lift up any propane tanks because it was too heavy for me. That's how fast my cancer was working. And they didn't tell us how bad until we actually read the cancer. They said if I didn't get treatment within 8 months, I was dead. That's how fast it was working. So I had to wait 2 months for insurance to finally approve the treatment. And we had to have the doctor call him, ask him what was going on. And he finally got off the phone with them on a Thursday, and I'm getting my eyes checked because in this whole process of waiting, my whole face and head and everything turned black and blue. My eyes were like all red, but it was blood red because all my blood vessels burst. That's why my face and my eyes turned red and black and blue and stuff. It was actually kind of crazy. Everybody was freaking out. But yeah, so February, I think it was the 24th. It was a Friday that I went over because he called me on Thursday and said I had to be in Portland at 7 o'clock in the morning. So we literally went home, packed everything, and drove to Portland, which is a bit of a drive from us. So it was 6 hours from our house. When we finally got to Portland, I think it was about midnight. and couldn't sleep because everything was happening so fast and it was just like crazy. I literally spent from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the doctor's up in Portland. I got told to go to this part, back and forth, doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was actually crazy how much they were doing and stuff. It was ridiculous, I'll tell you that. Because there was no time for lunch. I didn't eat at all at that point. Once they did that, they put in a PICC line. It's just, you don't know what that is. It's literally just a line straight into your blood vessel, right? I got the scars here. I can show you those. I had 2 of them. Oh, let me get the camera. Let me try this. I don't know how good this is going to work. But those 2 dots right there, that is from 2 PICC lines. And they put it straight into your line, into your blood vessel. And it goes up your arm, around the shoulder, and into your heart. And it sits about that far into your heart, right there, because that's the best way. When they start giving you the chemotherapy, your heart pumps it out and dilutes it down. And that's the fastest way, because if it just went straight into your blood vessel, it'd be so much in there, then it would just eat your blood vessel apart, which is crazy. Yes, the chemotherapy will, if you get it on your hands and whatnot, it will give you a chemical burn. And that shows you how dangerous this stuff is. And it's kind of crazy, because if it's that dangerous on your hands and we're putting it in our bodies, in our bloodstream, it's just like, how much more damage is it going to do? But I can tell you this, we did oh shoot, it was like a measurement of my heart. They wanted to check my heart, how strong it was beating, whatnot. But we did 3 of those. And they did one when I was getting chemotherapy. And they said my pressure was like 55 pounds that my heart was beating. That was on there. 2 weeks later, they did it again, and it was at 65. So it shows you that stuff messes with everything. Plus, you lose your hair, all that stuff, which is no big deal. And if you notice the beard, this has just started from October. But all of 2020 and think about in February is when my hair's of 2021, when I finally got to come home. That's when my hair started growing. So with chemotherapy, it lasts quite a while. We're going to break these up into sessions here, because it'll take way too long to get through the whole process. But back to where we were is in Portland, getting all the stuff, getting lined up, doing all the tests for the chemotherapy to start the following morning, which I got admitted. It was about 11 o'clock, and they did the experimental drug at like 4 o'clock. And it was just this little tube, about this big, not much at all. But they wanted to push it in over 15 minutes, 15-minute period. And you just barely see it on a little thing, just kind of just barely move. So we did 4 rounds of that stuff, which on that stuff, they had to check my blood levels, my liver levels, and all kinds of other stuff every day. I did that on the first round of treatment for 4 days. My liver got so out of whack, they had to cancel the 5th treatment and send me home. That was after being in the hospital for 11 days straight. And they said, oh yeah, it'll only take 5 days, no problem. And don't believe a word they say. They just, you're going to go through this treatment and go back to work and all that stuff. That is BS. By far the biggest BS they can run you, because it's going to take you a long time to get better after this stuff. And some people bounce back better than others, but you know, I was pretty damn healthy before all this happened, and don't know how much paralyzed I am, but I estimate between 60 to 70% paralyzed, somewhere roughly in there. They're gonna evaluate me excuse me, evaluate me in physical therapy to see if they're gonna give me a walker or a wheelchair. Well, if I can barely make it to the bathroom, they're definitely giving me a wheelchair. So that's how bad stuff has gotten for me. So back to where we were. We got the 11 days and they finally released me and said, no, we're just going to stop here at this point. Let your liver calm back down, and then in 3 weeks we're going to try this again. And they wanted me to stay in the hospital again because of how bad the first round of chemotherapy was, which I was fine with, definitely fine with. Definitely fine staying with there, but the second time going through and doing the next round of chemotherapy actually went really well. I had no problems whatsoever, no reactions. Body took it like it was nothing. So I did 6.5 days in the hospital that round, because they got to check the liver and make sure the liver's good and all that stuff before they release me. So, which is fine. Then they said, since everything went well, I can do outpatient next time, which I can stay with the family in the hotel and go get treatments every day. Then we go back home as soon as we're done. Which was like, heck yeah, you know, everything's going good. Did that. And went through the third round of chemotherapy and everything's going great, you know. Screaming through it, all that's good. So we get back home. We were only in Portland for 5 days that time because we didn't want to drive at night. We had the hotel for the night, so we said, heck with it, just sleep and we'll get up in the morning and go. So we come back for the fourth round of chemotherapy. And they wanted me to do a CAT scan to see how everything's going and all that stuff. So we did the CAT scan, then go up for treatment, outpatient. And doctor comes in and says, no, we're switching this. You need to go to the hospital now. It's like, oh shit. And he said, it's working, but he goes, it's not working as fast as I want it to. And at the same time, I had pain in my other leg. And he said, I've been telling him about the pain and whatnot, and he said that my lymph node in the other legs changed shape and grew. And that's why he freaked out and wanted to switch. So he put me on the real nasty stuff, the highest dose of chemotherapy you can get, and that's for leukemia. So, I actually forgot to guys tell you about my cancer. My cancer is basically, I can't really tell you the name. It's blastic plasma dendritic cell, some weird thing. So basically, layman terms, people terms, it's three cancers in one: skin cancer, lymphoma, and leukemia all in one. And I'm the only one in Oregon and Washington that has had it. And they said usually this happens on the East Coast, which is kind of weird. I wondered why. But thankfully, the nurse I had in Portland, she treated one other person when she lived in Florida with the same cancer. So she was my lead nurse, and she was there every time. I think that'll be all for tonight, and I will come back tomorrow and I'll schedule this. So stay tuned.